And so now we've got a show. Okay. So welcome
That's
everybody.
good.
Thank you for joining again. I don't know who can hear me and who can't. If you're on YouTube now, you can hear me. There's a new thread in At the Bench on Stunt Hangar. If you're logged into Stunt Hangar, go back to At the Bench, and it says Take 2 Stunt Hangar video chat, and click the link in that thread, and you'll be able to get back in here, unless you hung out with Jeff and Gerald, who stayed. I'm not sure how that worked, but
No, it's quite weird because now I'm a tiny little picture on my screen. I'm a tiny little dot, but I'm still here. Quite strange.
yeah, man, what a pain. I got one setting I need to change. Don't worry, I'm not going to blow it up. I just need to make it so it'll follow the faces as we talk, and it's already set for that. That's good. I can copy a previous show, and it keeps all the settings. Whew. Okay, people, we're on Monday Night Hangout, or whatever you want to call it.
Back to normal, huh, Rusty?
Looks like it to me, yeah. Except your little thumbnail is dark. I don't know why. Oh, that's because you're taking up the main screen. Oh, you got your fridge or whatever it is on.
Yeah, I'm outside again. It's too damn hot to hang out in the shop.
Okay.
Live streaming is on.
Okay, try that again. It looks like they might be working with that. And YouTubers and Stunt Hanger fans alike. Looks like we got a few people watching, and it looks like we're actually broadcasting now. Somebody's got a YouTube page open in the background because it told me I had bad bandwidth. So let's see how this works. Jack and Bob out there, hey, good evening. Tell me if you can see me. See you in the text chat box, and I can see me over on Jitsi. So everything looks like it's working, and I just need to post the At the Bench thread. And Carol, if you got a YouTube window you can close, it should be
It keeps pausing itself for some reason. I've got it sorted, I think.
Yeah, just close YouTube altogether.
Yeah.
That should take care of it. Okay. Let's talk about airplanes or something. That sounds
a bit of a challenge. A little bit more under control again. It's strange because your one's showing as low definition and Jeff's high definition. I don't know what my one's on, but it's sort of swapping between the different modes. My one's gone back to high definition, even though I set it at standard. So yeah, I don't know how it's deciding what it wants to do.
I can't tell much when I change mine between standard and high, but if I go lower than that, I can tell. But yeah, Jeff has got the best picture. If you are still without moving, Gerald, you've got a great picture too. It could be that your camera can't keep up with it. I'm not sure. It could be your bandwidth. That could be your camera rather than your bandwidth. I don't know.
Yeah, my bandwidth is fairly slow right now. But yeah, if that was tried before, it's obviously it varies different times of day and different results. Oh well, like I said, we're back again. It's functioning. We've got our pictures up.
Oh, I got to go over to the chat box and get it. I forgot and left it over. Okay, nothing new. Let me pop it out though, so we can all watch that, or at least so I can watch it. All right, yeah, I got the chat box so I can see the tubers as well as the videoers. Well, hopefully everybody's late and doesn't know we had any trouble. Looks like Gary Sinclair's back. I hope 10:20. Yeah, Gary Sinclair's back. Everybody, everything's like it was, so I can live with that. So anyway, yeah, as far as me getting out to the shop, still not able to do that, but at least, I still talk to y'all about airplanes and talk to my buddies, and get to go to a meeting once in a while. I actually hadn't done it since this last bout with the hospital, but hopefully soon I can get out to the field and say hi to people.
But at least you're making progress. You've got a lot more movement back now.
Yeah.
It's like my friend John Carradis, who was on his crutches for a long time, and he was using his seat for flying, and he's had his hip off in about 2 or 3 months since he had his operation. He's walking around without any crutches or without a cane, so he's pretty good form again. It just takes time, like anything. There's a major intervention.
Did you say John? Did you say John Carradis?
Yeah, John Carradis. He's one of the people that we fly with regularly.
Yeah, I know that name. Maybe it's just because I've heard you say it, but it seems like he must be a Stunt Hangar user too. I'm not sure. It might be where I've heard it before too, or I've seen pictures. Could be in your newsletter too. I don't know.
Could be that, yeah, in the newsletter, or he's active on Facebook, and I think he's got videos on YouTube as well. But he's a prolific builder, one of those people that seems to churn out models at a rate of knots, and he seems to be very innovative in what he comes up with too. He's got some quite neat ways of finishing. We had an article on his finishing in our last newsletter. Like Aki's always got a new way of solving problems, and he's a prolific builder. Like he said, he very rarely works off a plan that's out of his head. With the Tucker, he said it's one of the first ones where he had to work off a plan for a while because everything just comes out of his head. He's so used to doing it. But some of the people that are boat builders or other sorts of modelers, they get so used to doing it, they know what tool to pick up and what to do before they even cut anything.
Yeah, that's great. And intuitive. Yeah, my flying buddy's a multi-modeler. He does sailboats and well, he used to build cars. He not only RC but slot cars too. Back in the old days when we had slot car places with the big tracks that we could take our cars down to and race them, and he built those cars, and of course soaring and both modeling and full size soaring. He's into that. He's an intuitive guy around the workshop. He can do just about anything. He builds guns too. He builds especially is the 19th century guns and black powder, and there are a lot of enthusiasts in that field of modeling.
Yeah. My son also loves the dioramas, building things, and Max likes his drawing, his illustration, but he utilizes, he knows what tools to grab out of the modeling room. He knows what to do just from the process of getting used to watching videos too on people building dioramas. It's all quite helpful.
It looks like Ruben McBride, that's Steve's dad, has joined us over on YouTube. He might have to get his left hip replaced after 16 years and lots of pain once again. Really? Gosh, I'm sorry to hear about that, Ruben. But I'm glad you dropped in on us to hang out. And Jack Snavely too, thanks for the super chat donation. We got one from Jack. I really appreciate that. I was watching the SpaceX test hopper this afternoon. They were going to try to hop it, but they scrubbed it until tomorrow with no reason given, which is their Starship engine. They've got it built into a stubby spaceship shaped water tower, basically stainless steel, but it's got gimbaled engines, and they've flown it tethered and they've flown it free for 60 feet, and they wanted to do a 150-foot jump today, fly it off the pad and set it down, and they scrubbed for tomorrow and didn't say what the problem was, but all that's pretty interesting. I really want to see this thing work, and I am as skeptical as I've ever been about whether or not this is going to come to reality very soon, but I hope it does. It'll be, and this will be a ship that we can build as a fleet and use it to go to wherever we want to in the solar system, rather than having to build specific ships to go to one specific place, depending on what kind of atmosphere, gravity, etc. that place has. This one can adapt to any environment, whether it's Moon, Mars, asteroids, or whatever.
Well, if you ever get out here to LA, I'll take you on a tour of the plant. It's about 10 minutes from my house.
Oh.
A tour of what?
SpaceX.
Oh,
It's about 10 minutes from my house.
I'd love to go see that.
On Wikipedia a few days ago, they had an article about the Kiwi rocket engine. This is going back to the 1960s. The one that they developed, a nuclear engine. They called it Kiwi because it was based on an engine that wasn't going to fly. It was based on the idea of a flightless bird. So they developed a series of nuclear rocket engines, and the idea was that you could speed time to space travel, say to Mars, to half the time it would take a conventional chemical rocket. But obviously, after the death of Kennedy, everybody sort of got hold of the idea, and the growing sort of worry about nuclear material. And
nuclear. The word nuclear scares so many people, but that is a good way to power a spaceship, because space is full of more radiation than comes out of the back end of that. If it's the fission type engine like our NERVA system, NERVA, nuclear engines for rocket vehicle applications, what NERVA stands for. They worked on it and basically got it solved and working back in the 60s and 70s until they scrapped it when we decided we weren't going to Mars anymore. And so it's back on the boards now.
Yeah, a lot of ideas like that, you just see they went down a dead end because it's partly political, but partly just that worry about nuclear, that word again. But it would have been amazing, because if they had done it in a time before the different happening, 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and all of that came along, if you had done it before those major incidents, you may have actually achieved the Mars trip back in the 70s.
Maybe so. It would have been a whole new world of travel, being able to move across the solar system at an acceptable rate without having to, because being in space is bad for humans, you know.
Well, that was one consideration at the time. It was that time in space, subject to gamma rays or whatever other radiation that's going to affect humans. It was the idea of using a faster travel by whatever means, and I think with the nuclear engine they developed with the Kiwi, it was a matter of superheating hydrogen to a temperature that made it more efficient, but it was still burning hydrogen. That was the principle of it, but it was a lot safer than a chemical reaction, because they said you could control it a lot better by controlling the nuclear reaction.
I think the exhaust is basically water too.
I think, if you've got a fission reaction, with hydrogen. But they said the background radiation was low. It's only if the core of it was eroded by the action of it. If you had nuclear material escaping, or if there was an explosion, then you'd have a problem.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it proved to be very safe in terms of their testing.
That's one of the problems with fusion engines, is it's such a harsh environment for its vessel that it erodes the container that it is trying to power, and it just eats itself alive. So there's still a ways. They keep saying it's 20 years away. Actually, I think more people are on it now than ever have been before, and the Chinese might be closer than anybody. I don't care who figures it out. I just hope somebody does.
Yeah.
It's time to start thinking as a global community on some of this stuff. If we're going to preserve the human race and be a spacebound civilization to hopefully escape any extinction events, then we're going to have to come together. And
It's something a lot of scientists have talked about. Sooner or later, something will happen that makes the Earth uninhabitable. And at that point, then if you've got no alternative plan B, then yeah, we will become extinct. That's something people like to talk about. And you need a huge asteroid crashing into the Earth, and we could have another extinction event. But on planes, I should go and grab my giant showman. I was working on the control system of that, trying to make a safe control system that will hold up to its weight. But one thing I was thinking was I might use a bamboo fish rod instead of a carbon fiber because it's actually a lot lighter. And yet they don't seem that, in terms of their stiffness, bamboo's not that bad for its weight. It's very light being hollow.
Mhm.
The carbon, everybody uses a carbon push rod, but it is quite heavy. And that's the one out of my Magnum kit, so I didn't really want to use it either. I was going to buy another carbon push rod, but yeah, I was thinking of using bamboo, just putting my fittings on there.
Yeah. Bamboo is extremely strong stuff, and it's strong both in the push-pull direction and lateral direction.
Yeah, the only thing I was worried about was it splintering, but I think if I wrap the end, if I put cotton or whatever and fino it, epoxy it with some wire or cotton over it, it'll less likely to split the ends. But,
Even even a coat of urethane might soak in enough to keep it from splinter. And I wonder, I don't have that much experience with urethane, but it might help it hold together.
I thought I'd bring it up on this before. I'm getting close to the point where I want to test the model, and if my bamboo push rod's the fail point, then it's not a good point. So,
Looks like Ruben's trying to figure out how to use the super chat, but it looks like he's on a telephone, and so I'm using my PC, but the word, every time he clicks on the super chat sign, a word comes up that says close, and that's all he sees. What do y'all see? I've never clicked it before.
It is hard. Some I can't do it on my phone. If I want to do a super chat, I generally do it before the show, but I can try seeing if I can do it.
I see what he's talking. Oh, I see. I just clicked it. It's got super sticker, super chat, and close are the three options that pop up for me. It says show support for Stunt Hangar, and then super sticker, super chat, and close. But evidently Ruben's only getting the close part. That's okay, Ruben. It's the thought that counts. Thanks.
I've got my old super chat open. That's one. Oh, if I can bring up the other super chat, the current one. All timestamps. Oh, what that is. I can't bring up the chat. Something weird. No, I can't bring up the super chat thing.
Let me check and see how many viewers we got on YouTube right now. We got 10 viewers. So there are people. Some of you guys are welcome to come in here. You don't even have to talk if you want to just come in and give some body heat. I might find something to talk about. A lot of people come in and just sit and listen, and then a subject that's in their wheelhouse pops up, and they've all of a sudden got a bunch of stuff to talk about with us. So
Yeah,
one good thing about coming in, and it's a lot easier to talk than it is to type.
yeah.
This is very true.
Yeah, I remember, Jeff, you were a tuber for a long time before you came in on camera.
I was never computer savvy enough to figure it out. Then I listened to you talk about it once, and I thought, let me try that. And it was actually pretty easy.
Yeah. Did you do that with your iPad too?
Yeah, that's all I ever use. I use that or my phone.
Yeah.
I don't have a PC. I don't have a laptop. My wife's got a Mac in the house, but I never use it.
I've got an Android tablet, but that's the closest thing to an iPad that I've got.
That's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I figured it must be. I don't use it much. And I've got a keyboard, a Bluetooth keyboard for it too, that magnetically sticks to the little folder case that I've got. So that's handy. And it's a whole lot better, especially if you're doing a lot of typing and you want to back up the cursor or something. It's got the back arrows that you can back the cursor up without deleting text. And that's really the best thing about having the keyboard.
Yeah, I have a keyboard for this, but it's on my desk. It's part of a docking station.
Oh yeah. How big a screen is on it?
It's I think it's 12 3/4 or 12 and a half.
That's about. I think
It's a
mine's
huge
2.5 or something like that. Let me click on Gerald. He's got something we're gonna want to see.
Oh, I'm just I've got to recover that bottom wing. But, well, the wing's open anyway. You can see inside the wing. So I've got to recover it. That's what I'm
Gotta move my camera. It's right in front of Gerald. There we go.
Okay. Well, that was my I'm using like the quarter scale horns on it on the profile, and that was my little connector I made up to hook into my system, and I had the bell crank. It was a radio wing, so there was no bell crank assembly in it. I had to operate on the wing and install a bell crank in the wing. All the little reinforcers on the wing had been.
Oh, I can see it now. I think. Can I see it? Yeah, it's in the center shading. Okay.
Yeah, it was a real hard job to feed a bell crank into a pre-built wing.
You got to be brave to cut into a wing like that. You just, or at first, until you get used to doing it and know you're not going to kill it. The first time I had to cut into center sheeting to do any serious surgery, I was gritting my teeth. I didn't want to push the knife through, but it worked out fine.
Yeah. That was my system where I've got a dowel on there right now to connect my flaps to the elevator, and I'm going to change that out to bamboo and see how that works. The dowel's quite heavy and not that stiff, really.
You were talking about carbon, and you showed us a carbon tube that was bigger than the bamboo, I think, but I use little tiny carbon tubes. I think they're 1/4 inch on the outside, and they don't bend. You don't have to brace them. I've got that size down the side of my big old long twister fuselage, and it works good for a pretty good weight savings. But
Yeah.
I've got bamboo too. I hadn't tried it.
I'll give it a try. I'll put it together with bamboo, I'll weigh it, and then I'll probably go to a hobby shop on the weekend. It's Father's Day, I think, on Sunday, so I might manage a trip on Saturday to the hobby shop. Marlena said, "What do you want for Father's Day?" And I said, "Balsa. I'd love some balsa for Father's Day." So if I can go there, I'll have a look at their carbon tubes. But yeah, the model basically, I just got to recover the foam, the wing, and I redid the flaps and made up my control system. But yeah, it's so hard to actually stick a control system into an existing wing.
Yeah.
And I took the motor off so it's easier to work on it. But yeah, it's getting close now, that model. But it's a huge wing area because it's such a long, very wide
Yeah, I was
board.
going to say, it looks like it's got a big cord.
Yeah, it's like 840 or 850 square inch wing. So it's one of the biggest wings I've ever had, but it's still only like 50 something span. It's not that big a wingspan. But just the fuselage is still the same length of a large model though. And that makes it an awkward shape. But I'll put that down and out of the way. I just wanted as a test bed, I wanted a giant showman because it's a local design and the wing looked like very much like a showman wing. So I thought I'll just make up a fuselage that looks like a showman and a tail. So the original showman's a tiny little model. That's the original showman there. A small little model, little tight size model. Yeah, so it's just that scaled up to like 5 times the wing area.
It looks a little like a ring rat.
Yeah, yeah. They're a neat little model, and they were kitted here in New Zealand, and I think they sold them in England for a while too. They're quite a popular model.
Let me see the edge of the hold it so I can look at it from the wingtip again. I was just looking to see. Okay, it's a fat enough little wing, yeah. Well, it's a wide gap between the lead outs.
Yeah, I left the standard lead outs where they had a fixed lead out position. I left the kit actually has a plastic wingtip in the kit version, and the wingtips actually had the holes in them, so it's got the factory position of the lead outs.
Yeah.
But this one's got a diesel on it, an MVVS diesel. The other ones we've done with a 15. The diesels are 09, and the 15's got a lot better though, to be honest, the Glow 15. But the diesel's nice and light, so you get a very lightweight package. But with the big one, I just wanted to test out that big X55, the OS 55. That was the one I wanted to give a run, see how it goes on the model.
Did you say that was an OS?
Yeah, the 55 AX. That's the one that came after the SF series. So it's the ball raced.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That is. I wonder if that's related in any way to the 46 FX. Not had a FX. I don't know. It looks similar. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think you hit SF, the FSRs, and then the what do they do after the VFs, and then the SF, and then the FX, and then the AX. That's the current series, the AX.
Yeah.
So I'm keen to see how it goes to 55. From what I've read about them on Stunt Hangar, they reckon they've got more power than a Super Tiger 60, and they're quite a tactical engine. So
I know my 46 was a badass engine. It pulled my 72-ounce Magnum like it was nothing. And that Magnum, yeah, I mean that was a big old plane.
Magnum's the same size as a Strega, isn't it?
It's similar, or it's about the same size, I guess.
Yeah, Mike Pratt's design. Yeah, there was a big article on Stunt Hangar about them recently, and how they were competitive for a long time, and the different versions of the Magnum that were produced, and the scale knockoffs of them. Everybody turns them into P51s. That's what mine one was doing, and still intended to do, is make mine into a P51 Magnum.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the guy was that did the Opus, but that was based on the Magnum, and that was obviously a very successful version. But yeah, the Magnum, I think one of the originals had a 44 stroke. It seems hard to imagine it flying with a 40 size engine, but obviously the 4-stroke has something going for it that gives it an advantage over a 60 Glow 2-stroke.
No, I don't know a thing about 4-stroke model engines. I know they're neat looking, with the exposed push rods and all of that, but I've never actually worked with one. I know I guess they're really torquey, aren't they? They've got a lot of torque, and they've run lower RPMs generally. Is that right?
Generally, but I think the way that they run them for stunt is fairly fast, and they control the speed with the Venturi size. If you can't lean them out into a 2-stroke, you're on a 4-stroke, but they just control the Venturi size to control your lap times. You can't really needle it all.
Controlling the Venturi size is essentially throttling it.
Yeah. The only 4-stroke I ran was a ASP 91. 4-stroke on a stunter. It had a HP 61 on it, and I pulled it off and put on the Magnum 91 4-stroke, and it was a powerhouse. It went really well, but my fuel tank and just the location, you'd have to design the model from ground up. Trying to convert an existing model to a 4-stroke didn't really work. I didn't have the fuel tank space, and I really needed to redesign the nodes of it to fit in a better tank.
Are the 4-stroke's a lot more thirsty than a 2-stroke?
It was the location of where the intake was got in the way of my tank, so it should use less fuel than a 2-stroke. It should be you should get through a pattern with a 4-ounce tank with a 90, but it was really problems with the height of the carb and the location. It was originally rear induction HP 61, and then going to a 4-stroke 91. I just had problems with the tank. That was where I just pulled it out in the end. What happened, the other thing too, at 4-stroke, is you always have to run synthetic fuel, don't put any caster in them, and you've got to make sure you clean them out and you leave them in a way that they can drain out the back. They've normally got a vent hole at the back. Don't let any old oil or congealed oil build up there, or the valves start sticking. So if you're not flying them all the time, in a way, it just pays to pull it off the model and put it into storage. Because I kept trying to lube it up, but it kept, in the end, I just got annoyed because it kept getting stuck and the valves were getting stuck. And I thought, oh,
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So, yeah, if I designed a model for a 4-stroke, I'd really make sure I design it from square one to make sure you've got the best position for your tank. And
Do 4-stroke model 4-stroke valves look just like a miniature version of the big engines?
yeah, they're tiny little valves. That's what's so surprising, that it could work so well with these tiny little valves. And it's like a lawnmower, 4-stroke lawnmower in a way to look at. They're so tiny that it's just shrunk down. I've got one there, but I haven't got one with a head off. Yeah, here's a 4-stroke. That was one I was quite keen to use because I think the 91's overkill. That one's a OF 52 4-stroke.
Oh yeah, that looks heavier than heck.
Yeah, they're heavier than a glow, a normal 2-stroke glow, but the muffler's light. That's one point. They're quiet and the muffler's light. But I think really most people have just gone to electric. That would have gone for a quiet 4-stroke, would have gone to electric now. That's a little breather tube that comes off the crankcase. Sometimes it's at the back of it. Yeah, it's not a pressure feed, it's just a breather.
Yeah. Well, rotate it around so I can see the cam housing. And okay, has it got an over? It's got a cam, a push rod cam. So what drives the camshaft?
It drives off the cam gear here, cams in here on the crankcase, and activates the push rods. It's like an old-fashioned V8 in that sense. It's got
it's got like a worm gear or something, some kind of gear on the camshaft, just like.
Yeah, it's a worm gear basically on the camshaft.
Okay.
If I had the right tool, I could whip off the top. You can have a look. Oh. But yeah, the little, it's got little pivoting rockers in there, and your two valves back there. And it's normally like a little hemispherical head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a big cam. It's still a cam in the block. In that sense, it's old-fashioned in the sense that it's still running with the weight of a push rod tube. But then it's like a radial engine. That's what looks quite neat about the radial one. Yeah, it look like a radial when you.
So do you have to adjust the valve lash at between the rocker arms and the push rods?
You do, yes, but not frequently. Unless something's gone wrong, you don't really have to adjust them frequently. No, fine. Allen key, I'll pull the top off. They normally like a bit of nitro as well. We've got their particular fuel needs. That's the other reason why I wasn't keen to use 4-strokes all the time. You've really got to run a separate fuel for your 4-strokes with lower oil and like a bit of nitro. I'm probably going to drop the screws. I know one of the guys in the Auckland Model Club, Richard McFadden, he ran a little OS 24-stroke on a model, and it ran beautifully. It was not very powerful, but it just ran so well. He had it on like a little trainer sports model, and it was quite neat just watching the thing fly around with quite a distinctive sound to it. So yeah, there you go. There's the rocker cover off. Rocker cover. You can see the little push rods and where you adjust the tappets.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a tiny little valve train. Hey, that's cool. Let me click on you so you stay up. Hold it for just a second. It's slow to change when I click on you.
Yeah.
Come on, switch over to Gerald now. I'm trying to get it to show you big, Gerald. There we go. Now I got you.
Okay. You can see the rocker arms.
Yeah, it's the best focus there.
You can see the adjust tappets. They come with little tools to do your tappet adjustment. The OS has got the glow plug at the back, whereas in your 4 strokes, we've got the glow plug at the front, so you have to use a remote igniter, really. Without gear, and you can't really use many glow igniters with them. I think that's probably one reason why Sato and OS have gone for the rear glow plug.
What about diesels? Is there such thing as a model diesel 4-stroke?
Yeah, it was Enya brought out I think it's a 40 or 53 size diesel. So yeah, there is such a thing out there. I've lost one of the screws already. I did that fast. But yeah, the diesel 4-stroke, I think uses a fixed compression. You adjust the compression with shims, or sometimes they have just like a protrusion where the glow plug goes that screws further into the head to adjust the compression, to fine tune the compression.
Yeah.
So you have to start it with an electric start, I imagine. Yeah. Oh, they're expensive too.
I've heard 4-strokes really can knock your finger off if you get it in the prop while you're trying to crank it. Oh, hey, Trayan just showed up. Didn't see you come in, Trayan. How you doing tonight?
I'm sneaking in.
Yeah, good work. Stealth.
They give these funny prop nuts on them normally, a locking prop nut to stop it kicking back and throwing the prop off, because they do have that tendency to kick back, and hitting your would be one of them. But yeah, they normally always have a locking prop nut arrangement where it jams into it's sort of got a chamfer that locks into the prop nut. But yeah, that's my quick rundown on a OS 53 4-stroke. 53 4-stroke part, sorry.
So what's going on, Trayan? What you been doing for fun?
Not much. I didn't go fly or video anything this past weekend because I was just too busy doing other stuff. And besides, it was just very windy, very, not exactly wonderful weather down here. So I said, I'm going to take a pass at it. But yeah, I think it's the only thing I did. I made some new washers that I can put on in a nose to add some nose weight. It's going to be in a spinner. So they you put the back plate, the prop, and this washer, and you lock it in. So I'm trying to add some nose weight to it and see how it's going to respond to it. If I like it, it's going to stay there. If I don't like it, well, it's easily taken off.
Yeah.
So that's
well,
one thing.
if you decide you do like it, are you going to dispense with the washers and try to change the balance point with the tail, or leave it in the nose?
With the battery.
Oh, that's right. I forget. Electric gives you that option.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very nice option. But if that's gonna happen, it's gonna happen with a new nose. I have to make a new nose for it.
Longer?
No, the same nose, but I have a different geometry inside of the nose that's gonna allow the battery to move further forward.
Yeah. Okay.
So the idea is to reposition the parts inside the nose, move the ESC up above the battery behind the motor, and then shove the battery through the center former, and just slide it forward a little bit more,
Hmm.
which will make a bunch of stuff nicer and easier to access. Anyways, the plug to the ESC is going to be much nicer access to it, much nicer access to the safety switch. Just overall, it's much better access to everything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the method to my madness. But right now, I'm just too busy. Just school started, and I just don't have time for this stuff too much. If I catch a day or I catch a little bit of a moment, I might go out and fly.
Yeah. Atlanta's known for being windy. It's a lot windier on average every day than it is in Columbia, I think.
Yeah.
I remember that from when I lived there.
Yeah. Well, windy is not so bad. I've flown it in 12 to 15 miles per hour winds at the net, and I had no issues whatsoever flying in those
Yeah.
conditions. If it's clean air, it's clean air, then it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bigger problem that I have is that finding a flying field, because I go to different places, right? If the wind blows from this direction, I may want to use this field. If the wind blows from the other direction, I might want to use a different field. And I have 3 fields within 30 minutes from my house that I can pick and choose between them.
Pretty lucky.
I'm sorry?
I'm just saying, it's pretty lucky to have 3 fields within 30 minutes drive of your house. It's pretty exceptional.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky because of that. But it's all pending if the fields are empty and nobody's doing anything there.
The problem is we can fly from home, but it's just so wet for a good chunk of the year, and it gets really plugged up and you can't mow it. It's just too wet. We have to improve the drainage more and more gradually.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's pretty hearing on Stunt Hangar about the number of fields that have been lost, and they're talking about Escondido, California, the recent field that they've lost for flying. I think Charles and who's the other that flies on it? I can't remember his name now. Sometimes comes in here. That's unfortunate. They just said they had complaints from the people that were using the field for tennis, I think, and they lost what was a good site there. But at least with the electric too, you probably wouldn't draw too much attention as well.
Yeah, well, mine is very quiet, but that being said, it's a public field, right? Any person that's within that area, any person should be able to use the field for whatever purposes they have.
Yeah.
And sometimes the public parks may have some activities scheduled for that field, like when they have soccer days and have a bunch of people going playing soccer, or baseball day, or whatever activities they have sometimes at the soccer at the field, which I understand that. But outside of that, you shouldn't have restrictions who can be there and who cannot, because you pay taxes and you should be able to use the field. It's not like it's just stupid. I'll go back there and just do it anyways. And if the cops come and they can say, yeah, okay, did you check the noise levels? You can just simply do that. And it said, did they pass the OSHA PEL limits for here? How did you measure the noise levels? Because they should have like some kind of a noise measuring equipment that's calibrated, and they should say, okay, this is the limit, and this is your noise level, and you exceeded or didn't. So if you didn't exceed, you can say, go screw yourself, right? Pardon my French. And if it did, when maybe you should use some mufflers, and then they have a case against
Yeah.
you. But if not, the law is the law, right? and there are different noise levels that are allowable for different places. For example, in a workplace, it's 80 dBA average noise throughout the day, and that's pretty much general, even outdoors.
Mm.
So show me that I'm passing that and how you measured it, and then if you can prove me that, like you take a reading with your giving a speeding ticket, right? You have to prove the guy that, hey,
Yeah.
this is my radar, look at that, I tagged you over there, whatever, and you proving something, right? But you can't go arbitrarily, because that's harassment,
Yeah.
if you
I think
ask me. So if I were in their place, I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna go back and fly over there. You have a problem, come prove me, come and prove me, and stuff like that. I pay taxes, I have as much right to the park as the tennis player, um,
Mm.
bunghole. you know that
You like
that
tennis players,
that
huh?
complain, because I mean, just enough, it's enough. I'm tired of those flakes over there, and it's
Yeah.
California on top of it. So
Although the actual post, the old brains clicking back, it was on Facebook's Control Line Flying, and it was Kevin McElroy that made the post. In California. But yeah, he had a lot of people chime in saying, well, it's not like that in our state, or we've managed it differently at our field, and they've found solutions. But often it is that thing you've got to you've got to be prepared to argue your point and give it a go before you just get pushed off. I think that's an important point. But here in New Zealand, a lot of the fields, if they're owned by a council, they don't want model airplanes on it full stop, regardless, electric,
uh-huh,
glow. They just don't want model planes on it. Some
uh-huh,
fields are okay because they're owned by a school. So you would generally approach a school where you're on private fields. But
uh-huh,
that's just work that we have here, where they've just basically banned control line, radio control, all types of aircraft from public
uh-huh.
fields run by council or owned by
That's
council.
discrimination.
It is.
That
But
is blatant discrimination. Could you have a lawsuit against them as a
I,
private individual?
I
I
think it would
think
be a reasonable suit. All of I'm in Richland County, South Carolina, and all of the Richland County parks allow no aeromodeling activity at all. And of course, I've never pressed it because I didn't need to, but it just pissed me off, especially because I can. What do we carry? $2.5 million worth of insurance with our AMA license. I mean, gee,
it does seem to vary a lot from different places, from place to place. And some of it's noise sensitivity, other is that people get worried about. Just, I think the drone thing created a lot of issues. People were worried
it
about
did.
people's privacy. So
And
all these things come in.
they even attached the word drone to something that didn't deserve to be called a drone, a multi-rotor or a quadcopter or whatever.
There's not even. Yeah, this is stupid media this is a plain media thing where the media takes over something and then just presents it as something completely different. And it's an RC multi-rotor that you can have a line of sight, it's just close to you, or FPV or something like that. But it's not a drone. Drone is supposed to be something that's autonomous.
Autonomous, exactly.
Your
Yeah.
drone is something that you program to do something, and it takes off by itself. It executes a flight plan, returns, does his mission, and returns to you without any input from the pilot. And there's just plain stupidity on the media side. I mean, when is not media clever nowadays in this country? I mean, just a bunch of fucking idiots. I'm sorry.
I believe you.
It's
That's why
just
I've just
no.
sworn off TV news pretty much completely. I still read the newspaper, but I do not turn on any TV news except for in the morning with the local news to see the weather, traffic, that sort of thing. And I don't even do that very often. And that's it for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the advertising and a lot of it's paid infomercials that the news broadcast these days too, and every media outlet on the internet is just full with ads. It's just so encumbered with ads, it just puts you off. I'd rather read Stunt Hangar. At least I know Sparky keeps a nice clean ship and they're not inundated with a whole lot of meaningless ads. Much more focused.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I shut down TV altogether. Anyways, all I have in my house right now it's a local antenna, so I can catch the local news if I want to watch them or some local channels. Anything that I can catch with an antenna, that's in my house. And then I have Netflix, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I stay out of all that, garbage. So yeah, I don't think anybody just cares about the stupid media anymore. Yeah, looks
No,
like
I think people view it with a lot more suspicion than they used to. And here comes Lynn. I don't see a face yet, but Lynn apparently just joined us because he's got
Oh,
a
thanks
big
God.
green
Oh,
Hey, gentlemen.
Hey, there he is. Oh, he's got a green shirt on too. Hey, Lynn.
Hey, how's
Len.
it going?
Oh,
Good.
oh my God, Len,
to
are
see you
you
guys.
sick? You have a better connection today?
Oh, I got a good connection today.
Oh my
I'm
goodness,
actually
I can
awake too.
actually see your face for a
Amazing.
change.
It's amazing. Holy moly, I can see you too.
Oh
How's
no.
everybody doing?
We're okay.
That's good.
We had our usual rocky start getting the video feeds to work because I had to keep resetting it until I got an acceptable bandwidth. And I guess you probably saw where I'd posted in the At the Bench thread. I had to put 2 posts up just to get people back in, but it worked finally.
Well, I just came in now because I've been kind of busy, but that's okay. I'm here. It looks great now, so it's working awesome. So what are
Len,
you all talking
Well,
about?
I never saw you.
We've been talking about flying at parks and some of the ridiculous ways that model aircraft get treated at parks out of fear, primarily generated through the media's misrepresentation of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, we
Well,
don't do that too much anymore here. We don't fly in parks unless it's somewhere where we're supposed to be flying.
Gerald gave us a good lesson on 4-stroke model engines, and that was something that was interesting to me because I've never even paid attention to one up close, and he opened one up and showed us the valve train and all. I had questions about that, so I know more than I did before about 4-strokers.
That's awesome. I've never run one. I don't know much about them either.
It's just something different. It's like diesels. I like running diesels, and the only thing is smelly and noisy and messy, all the diesel thing. But I always say to my wife, "Well, do you mind the diesels and all the mess I bring with them?" And she says, "No, they had so much character." Each year, I was flying one of my diesel models on the weekend, and as long as she doesn't get it all over her clothes, she's happy. It was me that came home with it all over my jacket, but yeah. They are messy.
Kipper.
Yeah, it was funny because on the Friday night show, she was watching while I was doing the climbing around trying to clean down the.
Oh, she did. She posted to us. Yeah.
Yeah, but she enjoys listening in. She's a bit reluctant to come on and show herself live like this, but a lot of women are. But she enjoys listening. Recognizes all the voices now. You might have to run off at any second because the school bus is going to come through, and I have to be there for the bus before they'll let the boys off. Another of those crazy things. Even though they're 10 and 12, they're allowed to walk along the street on their own.
No kidding.
That's crazy.
Nothing
like different world today.
I was 6 years old, and my mom was letting us go to a public pool where we learn how to swim. And in order to get there, I had to leave the house, go several streets away, cross a whole park, get a tram, jump on a tram, go on a tram all the way down to the train station. From over
By
there,
yourself?
I had to, by myself, I would cross the
Wow.
street 2 times, go on the street all the way down,
Mm.
about 200 feet or so, make a left turn, go on a different street, go another 200 feet, and make a left turn into that area where it was. And on the tram, we went several stations. It's not just one station away.
Mm.
Wow.
So
Man, nobody would turn their kid loose to do that nowadays.
Never.
you'd be sued, shot, and
Very different, very different. You're not even allowed to ride your bikes to school, and I remember doing that as
Yeah.
a kid. You just think, yeah, it's just no wonder kids are obese. Often
Yeah, no, I mean, I lived in a
Really?
developing neighborhood that had lots of young families with kids my age, and no fences between the yards, and some parents had set up backstops for baseball and basketball goals, and so we played a
Hockey
lot of
nets and
things out
everything else.
there. But our parents didn't worry about us unless we failed to show up at supper time, and
Yeah, it was pretty much the same when we were kids too.
Yeah.
Except I'll tell you one thing, my dad always knew where I was and he always knew what I was doing.
Mhm.
mine didn't.
Oh, my dad did. He knew, and he always knew if I was lying. If I
But
lied, he
one
knew
good
every
one good loud holler from a strong voice, and word would get passed along that your mom's looking for you or your dad's looking for you.
Mhm.
Sooner or later you'd get the message via shout,
Yeah.
shout out.
Those days.
So what was the craziest thing that you guys did as a kid? Let's say
time.
definition of a kid, somebody below 18 years old.
I learned how to fly control line.
Oh, you were a wild man.
Now we had a really
Oh,
we lived in a neighborhood with a lake, and it was really hilly down towards the valley where the lake was, and of course they had developed down in there, so it had paved roads, and we built we called them go-karts. They didn't have engines, just wheels we'd steal off of somebody's lawnmower, and
Nice.
them up with a rope to steer it with, and we used to race down those hills and around the curves, and sometimes end up in the lake at the bottom. So that's when the youngest of us was probably 7 or 8, maybe. That's about when we got started with that. Before 7, we probably played pretty much in our own yards between our houses on our own street. But that was a good way to get injured. I mean, if you're talking crazy in that way.
oh,
But we
wow.
did pretty well. We played a lot of sports, in
Yeah, so did we.
yards.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
since I
rock
started
fight.
it, since I started the discussion on this, my uh, the top of what I've done as a kid, I was perhaps 17 years old or so. I was part of the parachute club in Bucharest, and we were
Oh
doing the
wow.
initial training from a parachute tower. So this tower is about 240 meters tall, and it had we used the round parachutes which you attach to a ring, and it pulls you up with the ring and the parachute. It's like an elevator, and
Mhm.
you pull a cord, and the parachute is detached from the ring, and you just float down and land and stuff like that. So under the pretense that we were staying after hours to build model airplanes, we would sneak out and do nighttime jumps, so nobody would know that we were doing them, right?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
But if you did them with those parachutes that were pre-open, right? So it's not much that can happen there, right?
that was going to be my question. Yeah, is what sort of
Yeah,
mechanism was there to open the chute, or
it
did
was
you?
already open on a ring, you're just
Yeah,
hanging with a parachute as strings
and it
open. So
yeah,
yeah,
and the wind filled it up as you
uh,
fell. And,
yeah. However, however, there was a different parachute that we like more, and that particular parachute was more maneuverable, and we really like that one, right? So, and it did not fit on a ring, so we just put it on one point like that in a
Oh
center.
no.
Was a lot harder to detach, and let me explain you this. I mean, this makes going downhill with with the cut shell play, because we were detaching from that. We were falling about half of the parachute tower, you know, before the parachute started to open. From the moment it was open and you slowed down, right? It took some more distance, right? And after that, but we had about 5 to 10 seconds before landing. This was how tight that was.
Kind of like halo jumping,
We're nuts.
only not that high.
We were nuts. It's like base jumping, right?
That's
Almost like
well, yeah, that's right.
almost like base jumping. But
Yeah.
those base jumpers, after they open their parachutes, they take a good 20-30 seconds before they land, right? They have time to turn around and go and land and stuff like that. No, we have only 5 to 10 maybe. A bit closer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mike Leinke's given us some good base jumping stories on here in the past, because that was one of his sports too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jumping off of TV towers and stuff like that. And
Uh-huh.
I've climbed a TV tower that was 1,100 feet tall, but I had to climb back down. I didn't have a parachute.
Mhm. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
But if you
1,100 feet.
So
if you did have a parachute, would you have jumped?
No,
No. It's okay. I wouldn't have either.
I,
I wouldn't have climbed 1,100 feet either.
I did puke about a gallon of beer off the top of a tower one time.
Oh, good Lord.
I wonder, how did you get up there? What possessed you to get up
I
there?
obviously must have finished drinking it before I started climbing.
Of course.
You needed to get enough nerve to get up there.
It was a long, long climb too. It took a long time to get up there.
Cool. Hit the button.
I think the Empire State Building's 1,200 feet tall. This TV tower in Atlanta, it used to be WTBS. I don't know what their channel 17 station is now. It was Ted Turner's old station, WTCG, I think. That was the tower on, I forgot what road it was on now, but it was near Georgia Tech. I hung around with all Georgia Tech people, so we'd go up there and hang the Tech flag and stuff like that.
And you didn't disconnect any of those antennas over there just for the fun of it?
Did we what?
You did not disconnect any of the antennas over
No,
there?
I
for the
didn't
fun
mess
of
with
it?
the antennas. No.
I tell you, the some of the best memories that I had as growing up were at that parachute tower. I mean, the stuff we were doing. Just with building planes, singing songs, and getting
Of
together
course.
like with a big group and having fun. And
Oh yeah, Mom.
then we were bored, and then we just jump, grab our control line planes, and go out on the parachute field. And it was on a nice flat field, and we just take off and fly over there, go nuts. And I would fly with my buddy, and he would fly inverted, I would fly normal flight, and we just crisscrossing each other like at 2, 3, 4 feet between the two planes, one going one direction, one going the other direction, doing aerobatics together.
You Eastern European guys have a long-standing reputation for being more than a little crazy. Like if you watch the guys climbing buildings in Russia, I mean, God, that is probably the most dangerous sport I believe I've ever seen.
And you know what?
What?
And you know something? You die. Nobody gives you a ticket because you climb on a building.
This is true, yeah. Not much of a consolation prize. But.
Here they arrest you, right? I mean, because of liability, you trespass or whatever, you know. Yeah, over there, just a lot more relaxed. Yes, it's true. It's a bit more relaxed. Those rules. Maybe it's different nowadays, but you know, when I was over there, nobody cared. If you're stupid enough to do something and you're gonna die, well,
Let
too
them do
bad.
it.
Too
Yeah,
bad. Go ahead and do it. You know, nobody's gonna stop you, or make a law so it stops you or something like that. Nah, stupid is stupid as.
yeah, Forrest Gump.
Yeah. So yeah, they could care less. I used to go in Romania and we have like a traveling theater show, right? And we go from city to city and we fly our planes and we have demonstration flights and stuff like that, and they have like a variety show with stand-up comedians and classical music and normal music and rock and roll bands and stuff like that. So it's just rock and roll band, one of our acts, and then another rock and roll. So we just flying, and I got made some money from that, uh, enough to pay and buy myself a new motor and stuff like that. So
That sounds pretty cool activity.
yeah, the problem over there was that you had nothing to build with. All you had was styrofoam, and you had some 3 millimeter plywood. It's about 1/8 inch light ply, thick.
Just a lot of improvisation.
Yeah, and some spruce sticks. You know, mainly like a 1/2 inch by 1/8 inch. And that's what you had to do. You know, you just you want to make a plane out of shit and make it
The
crack a
best
whip
you
and a
could.
banger on top of it. You know,
Yeah,
so basically that's what we did. So we learned to be creative and work around the system.
that's 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 good learning. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's how you get smart.
And what we did eventually, we figure out how to make those combat plane type wings and put them in a stunt plane. So I made a combat plane design, basically on a wing on a leading edge and on the backside, and we put flaps on it, and we build up a fuselage out of those spruce wood sticks with zigzagging like that on the backside. And for an elevator, we just put uh, some spruce sticks, cut one in half for the leading edge. The other one will make like a bevel, put cloth in between them to make a hinge.
Hmm.
Then we put foam in the front and the back, and it just with a sandpaper we just shape it up, right? And we'd go to the grocery store and then get some packing tape. I mean, packing paper.
Crates. Okay, packing paper. Okay.
Paper, yes, and
Okay.
because you couldn't go in a store and buy silk pen or something like that, it didn't exist. So we used packing paper, and we would put the packing paper on the top of the plane, and that's what we used to cover. And uh, for finishing, uh, they didn't have much paint anywhere, uh, so we used whatever we could find, and then we had some this it's called Palux, which was a two-part epoxy that they use for hardwood flooring, and we use that to seal the plane.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So uh, then what we did over there, we had these motors that were so poor. You could probably just break them in and then get maybe 20 flights out of them before they were just going so bad. Then
Crap.
losing compression and just really crappy motors. I mean, they would quit in the middle of the flight and just like it was just horrible. But we had fun. We just built them whatever we could, and if we finish a pattern of a whole flight, the whole pattern, we were happy, man. I was just like, wow, anybody who would fly a whole pattern over there will just be, first or second place guaranteed.
Yeah,
So yeah, if you had friends overseas that would buy stuff and send them to you, uh, you would be just like the king of the hill. Balsa wood was unheard of. Uh, we had a little sliver of balsa wood the size of my finger, and I was treasuring that piece of shit. Uh, I serious. I'm serious. I swear to God. I have a balsa wood. Look, I have a little piece where I'm gonna use this thing. I was saving it for something good. I don't know what. I kid you not. Then uh, if you had somebody overseas that would send you the balsa wood, will send you motors and stuff like that, and you could build a halfway decent plane that would fly the whole pattern, man, you were set. I mean, just top dog, big time. Any of the intermediate flyers here were just probably no more than those those guys over there. So those were the times. Um, so I saved my money from the shows, and I bought a big motor, a 10cc motor, a Moki 10cc,
Wow.
and I put that, which was an RC motor, anyways. But all of a sudden, right now, with a motor that at least would fly a whole flight and didn't really quit. Then we put it like on a full body fuselage, which was made out of foam. Of course, everything was foam.
Yeah, because you didn't have any balsa.
Yeah, everything was foam,
Exactly.
backing tape on top of it with some sticks on it. That's what we call the plane. So yeah, we had to be very creative, and kind of shaped me into being creative and work around the problems and figure out how to fix things, and how to solve problems, how to troubleshoot things. So okay, oh, too much.
I'm actually thinking about building a foam board airplane myself just to see if I can build something that would be half decent that isn't built out of balsa wood.
Only thing I've built out of foam was a platter plane. Oh, that was the one I built from a little 8-year-old neighbor girl that wanted me to build her a plane that looked like a kitty cat. I probably showed that to y'all before, and it was just dollar store foam board, but it flew.
It's nice and light.
Yeah.
It was built on the Osborne, based on the Osborne platter, Bill Osborne, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was a pretty good little plane. If you weren't careful when you launched it, you'd flip it over and have to fly your first lap inverted. But
I just don't see why I can't take foam board and build a lot of the components the same as I would with balsa. Just glue it all together and use plywood doublers and hardwood motor mounts, and it should work about the same.
yeah, a paint stick makes a good central doubler for the length of the plane.
Yeah. But I'm thinking about actually trying to build like a big stunter that way, just to see if I could do it.
Yeah, I was talking half A, but yeah.
Yeah, if I was making a halfway out of foam board, I'd make it like that. The halfway plane that has a very long nose and looks like a humbug from who was that? Bob. What was his name? He passed away a few. He was a national champion several times, I think. It's not Bob Giski,
Not George Aldrich.
not George Aldrich. He was here in Atlanta, anyways. In
I don't know.
He lived right in. Anyways, he built a humbug. It's called a humbug when you have like basically a wing with the two vertical fins that are very long, and a big elevator connected to the elevator to those two vertical fins, and it had no flaps on that plane.
Okay.
A simple conversion would be something like a what are they called, those biplanes? No. I'm just thinking, what's that simple, really basic bislob? Yeah, that's right, Otto. The bislob would be a good conversion for something like that. You could use foam board for the fuselage, and very basic construction. But, yeah, I just wanted to say hello, Roy. I think he's going to go off to have his afternoon tea. Yep.
Oh, hey man, how you doing?
We flew on Sunday. We thought kind of like, but yeah, we've been doing pretty well.
Yeah, just windy, isn't it?
Just windy, but that added to the fun a bit. Yeah.
You do very well. It's very good one, but it makes it a challenge. You do a couple of combat models and a half-A combat model. But you also had a seagull, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Luckily, it was just with your wing and the blue bird flew off. But yeah, that was a bit of excitement, wasn't it? Unexpected excitement. So, yeah, hopefully with a bit of warmer weather, we can work on your pattern, though. Eh?
Yeah.
So how is your pattern flying coming? Auto, right? You're auto, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting better.
I'm getting better, but I'm not terribly great.
Yeah. Well, our basic beginner pattern only has 2 figure 8, vertical 8, and an overhead 8. So you can basically do all the maneuvers, but you've got to get them in the right sequence and when you're supposed to do them and having a little bit better. So you can do all the maneuvers now. The other day you did a reverse wing over, and your inverted's quite good. Most of your maneuvers are quite good. But it's just your brother. His brother keeps forgetting. A little bit younger, but he forgets. He keeps doing his into the ground lazy 8s, and it's something we've got to get him out of. He seems to have developed a bad habit there.
Yeah, once in a while when you're learning, you get stuck on one thing that just keeps you. It's like your nemesis stunt.
Yep,
You know,
can't get beyond it.
Like Sam right now, Mike's son Sam. He's stuck on the vertical 8s. He just can't quite pull them off without plowing it.
That's like Naomi with the loops.
She's doing a lot better now with her loops and her inverted sorted. Last time I heard you speaking. Leonard, you said she's okay with her loops now?
She's still working on it. Some days it's good, other days not so good.
Gary Sinclair says he's made about 5 flight test planes from scratch. Dollar Tree foam board. Yeah, that's not bad stuff, but it does have to be reinforced.
For trainers, we use Coroplast now.
Coroplast is a lot stiffer. Yeah,
a little heavier though, unfortunately.
When it's election time and everybody's got candidate signs in their front yard, you can gather up a lot of coroplast.
The good news is it's cheap and durable.
Yeah.
We can finish with your afternoon tea.
Yeah, I'll do that. And
so it's Bob Barron.
Oh, okay.
Bob Barron. He's the one. He's the one that the name escapes me.
Okay.
So,
did you know Bob Barron?
Yes, I knew him.
Okay. A very good flyer.
Yeah.
He was from the Big Jim Greenway camp. Him and Wendy.
Yeah.
Big planes with fat wings.
And huge flaps and yeah, big motors.
Yeah.
Okay. So that half a plane looks like the one in this picture here. If you can see it.
Let me click on you so I can see. Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Looks like this.
Yeah.
Only the fuselage doesn't go back there. You know, kind of stops behind the wing. No flaps, and it has a much longer nose. So that was half a plane that I flew. Very nice flying plane. That was awesome. Look what I found. Remember when I was talking about paint jobs?
Yeah, I remember. We had a long talk about them that night.
Yeah, this is the one I was talking about, how simple this paint job is. And where is it? was right there.
Oh, you found it and then it got away.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, those are just
There it is.
RSM planes. There it is.
This paint job right here. I'm gonna just close this because I think it's better in this picture. He was bigger. But you see what he did here? You have white, red, black, and white, right?
Yeah.
And the fuselage is the same thing. Black, white,
Yep.
red, right? It's same
Yep.
L shape. It's like an L shape.
And the stabilizer and elevator.
Yeah, he flip-flop the colors.
Yeah.
Isn't this beautiful?
It's too much the same as everybody else does, though. Look at the planes
Even
below
the
it.
wheel pants. Even the wheel pants have the same pattern.
Yeah,
So,
same L-shaped pattern. It's just like it's simple a theme that's just beautiful.
I find it too common.
Okay.
I mean, you look at the planes below, in the picture below, they're all almost the same.
Okay.
See what I mean?
We're here.
See, look at those planes. They all look almost the same. It's the
and-
same common pattern.
But
Very
it's
common. It's a
beautiful
very
because-
common way to paint.
Yeah, because it's easy to the eye. The eye loves the patterns. The loves.
I guess that's true. I guess there's a point there. You're right.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah. So look at all of them. It's like you look at this plane. You look at this one.
I believe that's Brett Buck's plane there at the top corner.
Plane,
Yep.
You have this L shape on a fuselage. Simple.
Yeah.
Looks good, right? Look at this
Yeah.
other Muscos, the zigzagging, lightning kind of thing.
That's a beautiful airplane. I've seen that plane actually. It's unbelievably nice.
Yeah, and look at the font on top of it. The font matches the everything else. So
Yeah, it's pretty
all the
awesome.
channel lines. This is just a gorgeous plane. I mean, just you look at it and say, I like this plane, but when you start to think about why do I like it, that's why you like it, because it's patterns. Your eyes bombard you with the patterns that repeat, and they have some kind of logic, some kind of theme to them. Just like
help when a judge is looking, they can see the maneuver that's defined by the pattern of the plane more easily. If you've got just say a camo pattern or a plane that's painted in very dark monotone colors, it doesn't highlight itself against the sky so well. It's harder to
True.
judge. If you've done any judging, you can see a plane like that will stick out against the background better.
Yeah. So okay. So let's do this. And I'm on.
Joe Adamusco is an awesome builder.
Oh yeah, he does.
Beautiful work.
Am I out of the sharing?
Yeah, ready for sharing now. Yep.
All right, we're done sharing. Good, excellent. That's what I want to do. So yeah, it's no shame in copying somebody else's stuff. That's if it's pretty. But yeah, Aeromodeling has some like the Stuntress. It has some of those Stuntress planes, and
they're just gorgeous.
Them are just fantastically beautiful.
Oh yeah. No, he's a really, really outstanding builder and finisher. His finishes are amazing too. They're really good.
Yeah, I didn't see him here in a while now. So
He's usually at Brodax. I saw him at Brodax this year.
Cool. Yep, that's nice. I was hoping to see him at the Nats, but he was too busy doing some other stuff. So
yeah,
that's that.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
Yeah. So Gerald, your son can fly inverted and all that stuff.
Yeah, the younger son can't. He hasn't mastered inverted. He sort of gets it and then he forgets it. It's like his timetables. Unless he really wants to know it, he just forgets it. The younger son, Max, you think, oh, he's doing really well, and then it seems to vanish out of his head. It's gone again, and you've got to go back to your 3 times tables or something you should really know. It's just the nature of his way of thinking of things. If it's something really important, he'll remember it. He seems to do a nice landing and a nice takeoff, but everything else in between is more variable. Whereas Otto, he's consolidated it a lot more by now, and most of his manoeuvres are looking quite reasonable. Then he's able to cope when things go wrong. He's got that natural reaction to pull out when the model's all over the place and he's lost line tension. He always seems to get it back.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing when you can watch them dancing around. They're young and quick on their feet. And you think as an old geezer, when the plane comes in on me, I'm struggling to get backwards quickly enough. There's a young guy like that can move so fast. He'll be half my weight though, probably.
Yeah.
That's where that big advantage when they fly combat. These young guys, they've got, or young girls, they've got that agility, that reaction time so much better than older people.
Yeah. There was a young boy at the Nats. His name it escapes me. I think his father's Russian or thereabouts, right? Anyways, so he was flying.
Was it Alamov?
Huh?
Was it Mike Alamov's son?
Yes.
Yes. He came to our contest last weekend. He's a very good flyer.
Yeah.
Yes, he did very well.
Yeah. And
I'm trying to remember his first name though. I don't remember it offhand.
I don't remember it either. But
I'm gonna step away for just a minute. I'll be right back.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody's joining up. Let me see who it is first. Doesn't have a name.
That's Steve.
Oh,
All right.
who was that? Steve?
Yep, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a different computer.
Yeah, you don't have a name. Your Jitsi doesn't remember you.
How do I put a name in this damn thing now?
3 dots.
You in here again?
Profile. I'm gonna step away for just a minute. I'll be right back. I gotta get me a drink and a
All right, let's say something funny about Rusty now that he's gone away.
I gotta get farther away than this.
Just keep going.
Oh, that'd be horrible.
We're bad.
So what I wanted to say, Gerald, is that I was using him as an example because Mike Alimo's son, he flew kind of a regular plane until he learned the full pattern, and then his dad just moved. Once he stopped kind of crashing, or he was having kind of settled in, his dad built him an SV11 electric, and with that plane that will go wherever you want it to go, and it's going to stay wherever you want it to stay, where you just worry about what the maneuver is, what shape you want to achieve and stuff like that. The progress that you do in your flying, it's staggering.
Oh yeah, it flew amazing. He had it here. It flew outstanding, that airplane, and he flew it well.
Yeah,
I think he got third in our contest overall.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's in profile though.
Did Sparky tell you that I beat Paul Walker at FCM?
What?
Sorry, come again, Steve.
I said, did Sparky tell you that I beat Paul Walker at the FCM contest?
No. Pretty good accomplishment.
Now it was in darts, but it doesn't matter, right? We're at a flying contest, and I still beat him.
I was gonna say you sure didn't beat him in the circle unless you laid a beating on him.
Sparky is such a tease, right? He puts that video at the FCM when they play darts and a little bit at the beginning, and then after that, nothing. It just like vanishes off the face of the earth, right?
Yeah. Well, that
I
was
was like,
we were
I was
joking, like, yeah, so I win and you turn the video feed off. And everybody's like, that's so that you can't prove it. It's your word against his. And
oh man, I was watching that and I was like, I was scratching my head and going like, are these guys still Marvel playing contest? But you guys were having just a blast over there. That was just fun to watch.
it was so funny. The first spark he threw a bullseye.
Mhm.
And then the
And they
second
threw
one was close to a bullseye. And the third one was another bullseye. So we're like, holy shit. So I guess he played. But his next match, he went up there and just hit outside and hit low numbers and lost. So,
beginners luck.
yeah, with me, I mean, what was kind of funny is that the first one was real close, and the third one, I hit for a bullseye, trying for something else, and then
Okay.
I had a super high score, one against Paul Walker, and my next because you got 6 darts, so 3, and then they throw 3, you throw 3, they do. So my first one, my first set of 3, I got 18. I'm like, holy shit, that's really bad. And Paul says, maybe I'll throw the same thing you do. I'd be damned if he didn't throw and threw an 18. And then we threw the last set, and I got him by 2 points. I think I hit 20, and he had 18. And that's one of the deals. So, but yeah, so I got to tell everybody that.
Steve back, so let's keep it normal now.
Rusty probably didn't even hear it, did you?
No, probably not.
Huh? What? What are y'all talking about?
Nothing.
Yeah,
Just rewind and see what we're.
I thought Sparky would have got on here and told everybody that I beat Paul Walker at the FCM contest.
We hadn't seen Sparky tonight.
No kidding.
We spent about the first 40 minutes trying to establish a YouTube connection again. So we could have missed him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, the whole joke was we were playing darts, and I beat Paul Walker.
Okay, you have your claim of fame now.
That's my claim.
Yeah, rest of your life, you can always say, I beat Paul Walker, and nobody can take that away from you.
At the FCM contest.
Yeah.
Well, now you got me wanting to have a game of darts against Paul Walker.
So I
Skills
think
all
Mark McKinney was there too. He got third, and I think Vince Bodine got second. Is that correct?
Was that in advanced?
Expert, I think.
Okay.
Or I don't know what, like how they
I think
split
it was Paul Walker, Scott, I think, Mike Scott, and then Bob McDonald, then McKinney, and then John Paris. But what it was is that I guess they scored the same high score, but so they went to the next score, and McKinney got him by 1 point on that one. So,
Okay.
Yeah, Mark is flying better ever since he started to fly the Revolution. So his scores are moving up fast.
what I know he did some adjustments when I was there. I watched him fly that pattern, and that airplane the motor was all over. I mean, it was whoa. When he put the nose up, that sumbitch came on. When he came over the top, it just cut to just down. Boom. So he narrowed something up so he wouldn't get so much going up, but not less braking coming down. But I told him he's got to he could do less of the up and keep the down where it was at. But
Was this an electric motor?
yeah, yep, with the Eeyore setup on it.
All right.
But I told him, Tryon, I gave you Samantha's numbers that the Germans and Chinese were using. You could give them to him. That I'll have to dig back in and give them for him
Mhm.
to give him a starting spot. But yeah, he was hammering corners. I tell you that.
Oh yeah, they're playing corners effortless. I mean, just like you don't have to ask him to ask the plane to corner. I mean, he just does it like. I mean, each when you fly a square with that plane, you just turn the plane and it goes and goes and goes and goes in the straight line, and he just turns again and just keeps going and going and going and turn. I mean, you have those flats that are so long. You just like, you, yeah. So,
Yeah, he just got it, and he may have got it closer where he wanted it
mhm,
Sunday. When I was there, I left Saturday night.
yeah.
But yeah, he was flying good, but it was hard for him with the airplane speeding up, slowing down so much.
Hmm. Yeah. He talked to me on the phone after that, and he said like Paul Walker says something about the sensitivity, drop down the sensitivity a little bit, and because I was having so much up and down, like what you're talking about, Steve. So,
Yeah. And he flew
so
another
yeah.
flight. I didn't see that one, and he said it was too low, so he was gonna go for the middle where he was at. Where Paul said
Mhm.
Paul tried to bring it down to 15 or something like that, and he had it at 45 or whatever it was, and he was gonna go halfway and see what that did. But I told him it
Yeah.
has to do too with the slope, them other numbers you can adjust, so it's
Yeah.
not so
Yeah.
not so.
The slope it's in a ESC. The slope it's in a ESC. Um, Leonard is going like, what the heck you guys talking about over there?
Yeah, I'm lost.
Yeah.
Then that's okay.
So Leonard, the ESC, there are settings in an electronic speed controller, right?
Right.
And like you have an RC throttle coming from the idle to the full power, right?
Okay.
And usually the throttle is set so from the idle to about 25%, nothing happens, 0 RPM, right? Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And at 25%, you can set it to whatever you want to have. It's a start point, right?
Okay.
And when you go full power, it's maximum RPM. So if you think about between 25 and full RPM, it's a line, right?
Yeah.
For different throttle positions, you have different uh, outputs, right?
Okay.
So that's how you map that's how you map the ESC response, right? So you can have a
So
steeper
this is what.
slope.
So this is how the engine performs based on the direction which the airplane is flying.
No. This slope,
Okay.
this slope shows it's a throttle curve, right? Now, when a ESC tells the motor to go to this throttle setting, right?
Okay.
You intersect
Yeah.
the ESC output, right? Let's say go to 3/4 throttle, wherever it intersects that at 3/4 throttle, that's the output throttle that goes to the motor, right?
Okay.
So you can modulate this slope over there, make it steeper or shallower or whatever, If you want less brake, you just make the slope shallower, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then with the ESC, I mean, the it's once you understand that, it's so easy to set up a throttle on the uh, uh,
So basically, what you're creating is brake in the engine based on like you would have with a glow engine.
exactly, but you can make
Okay.
any brake with any RPM with any
Okay. I
program
gotcha.
you choose
Okay.
to from one motor.
Is that what they call boost?
It all depends how you set it up.
Okay.
Here's an example for you, okay? If I set my throttle to 80%, start at 80% when it's a 25% throttle, it says
Right.
start 80%, and then at full throttle, it's 82%, right?
Okay.
It kind
Yeah.
of doesn't matter what the ESC tells it to be at. It's going to run between 80 and 82%, right?
Yeah.
Make sense? Or
Yeah.
if I
That
say
makes sense.
you have a start point, say at 50% is still zero, and 100% is 100% throttle, right?
Okay.
So it's a different arrangement, right? So now you have a very hard brake. Basically,
Right.
that's what you say. Just have a hard brake, because on the same timer throttle output, it tells you to go from here to here. If the slope is flat, I mean the RPM is going to be, output is going to be flat. If you change
Right.
the slope very steep, then you have a high difference in RPM. And you
Yeah,
can
I got
you
you.
it's so easy to fine tune this to any degree you choose to have.
Yeah, I
So,
get it. I see what you're meaning there. So in other words, if you want more brake, you just turn it up more. If you want less, you turn it down, basically.
yeah, you can achieve that different ways. You can leave the slope of the same and
Yeah,
widen.
so you could keep it even if you wanted. You could have even speed through your whole flight if you want that.
Yes, anything.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome.
The sky is the limit of
Yeah.
what you want to have.
Yeah,
Samantha said
whereas with
where it picked up, I think 50 RPM when she raised the nose, but when she dropped, when the nose went down, it lost 200. I believe, I don't know. I should have wrote it down someplace, but
Mhm.
I got it where.
okay.
So yeah, it'll
Basically,
But
slow
at
down.
least there's consistency and it does it the same every time.
yes,
Whereas with glow, you never know what you're gonna get.
you kind of hit and miss. Yeah,
Well,
this
yeah,
Most
you got the
definitely.
pipe. You can, bring the pipe in and out to kind of achieve the same thing, but
Right.
it's not going to break as much. That's more of an even thing. But
Yeah, the pipe makes the even more of an even run than a. It's not like a 424 brake or anything. I understand.
it's a much softer four to four on pipe. But like I
Right.
said, with electric, you can make it run. You can make the motor run like a Super Tiger 60 with a hard brake, or you can
Yeah.
run like a PA with a very soft brake.
Very very soft brake. That's true. Okay.
And it
That's
doesn't care.
cool.
It doesn't care. Just if you want a soft brake, just put a low pitch prop and run it faster. Big up to do. It's just
Yeah,
you
exactly. Yeah, just put the low pitch prop on and set it up the way you want it.
4 or 5
Exactly.
flights, you make fine tune, a little bit of fine tuning, and from that point on, it's the same over and over again. And just no change whatsoever. It's reliable, it's bulletproof, and it's consistent. And it's stupid easy to set. I mean, a baby can do that once you understand that stuff. And
Yeah,
it's
once you understand it, I'm sure. Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
but it's not a steep learning curve, right? I mean, it took me very little time to do that. So
once you've got the right equipment, you're not buying new parts all the time. You're just twiddling what you've got. I suppose that's the beauty of a lot of it, that you don't have to invest in a new motor just because the last one didn't have the characteristics you wanted. You're not machining new Venturis or making up new mufflers. We've got that adjustability within the system.
yeah, yeah, it's so simple. I mean, just so simple. I mean, just like I haven't had anything simpler than this to set up and run. I mean,
Yeah, like you can't change your 424 running stunt motor into a pipe motor without doing some work on it. There's no doubt about it. Whereas the other system, you can change it in a couple of minutes.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, or if you know it, you just test different things and see what you like, or have different setups. Say when you find a wind, you might want to run the higher PM and uh, the low pitch prop.
Yeah, that's true. Most definitely.
Just put it on.
It gives you options.
Exactly. You look at your notes, and I said when I run this prop in wind, then I use this and that and that and that, and I just go click, 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 boom, boom,
Click,
boom.
click, click, click it in, zero it in, and go.
Then just connect your battery, go fly, and you'll be back in business.
It's.
It's it's
I
ridiculous.
understand what you say when you tell me it's better because ultimately it is better. But yeah, what can I say?
The reason for which I kind of say like even for intermediate flyers, if you're an intermediate flyer and you know how to fly the pattern, I mean, it's time to change to like get an SV level with an electric system on it because it's just so consistent and so predictable with a plane that flies so well, you know. And
Yeah.
and I was absolutely shocked when I changed from those models I built from Romania to an SV11.
Hey,
Actually,
I got my internet back on my main computer.
There he is.
I noticed you dropping in and out a couple of times there.
Well, what it was is I was having problems with my cable. So the guy comes here today and says that's in the box. So he puts it in the box or puts in a new box and he's measuring all this stuff. And he said my signal was too high, you gotta put a different splitter in. So he puts a different splitter in. So oh yeah, he's talking with a lady. Yep, everything's great. He leaves. I come to get on the internet, I can't get on. Bro. I'm like, my TV's working, and I called the service, and they said, well, it's the same line. So I took my modem and undid my TV and plugged that into my TV line, and then I got that, and then I just found out how to get Wi-Fi on. I didn't realize that my new computer had a Wi-Fi thing, and it came through, and I hooked it in, and now I can get on here.
Sounds a lot better. You're a lot clearer now anyway.
Yeah. Well, I was on that laptop, and the cameras is just not as good as this one.
Yeah, I don't think the lighting was as good in the other room either.
No, I was sitting this way looking at the one computer. Now I'm looking
Oh,
at
I
this
didn't
one.
recognize the wall behind you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other room is
I
very
think
yellow.
in Samantha's old bedroom because I saw all those plaques on the wall back there.
This was always just the computer room. We hung out, and that's not all of our plaques. I got bags and bags of
I
them.
don't doubt that.
It's like, oh my God. Yeah, that's like the internet guy or the cable guy in the front row by the TV there. I got the big Nats plaque, and he's like, national champion. I'm like, yeah. My daughter flies model airplanes, so I showed him some of them. And
Yeah, I always like getting people that notice something like that, and I have to tell them about it. Oh, let me click on you there, Steve. Oops, I clicked on Lynn. There we go, Steve. All right. Oh, Brodak fly in.
I keep it on here because that's my only trophy I ever won, and that was in Foxburg Racing, and I was a pit guy. I wasn't even flying.
You don't need to fly if you're a good pit man. Never need to fly a flight in your life, Steve, if you can pit.
Good pit man.
You'll win lots of those.
You can be an inexperienced flyer, but the man someone is more important than the flyer.
Well, what it was is that Samantha won her first 3 rounds or whatever, and on through that whole racing deal, I had 1 flip starts on that little Brodak motor of hers, and the last race she got beat. She took second, and then he wanted me to pit for him because he was sharing Dan Banjock, and Banjock was in the finals, and he was in the finals. Well, Banjock and Helco beat us, but I still got him 1 flip starts every time, but his plane just wasn't as fast.
Ah, man, if you had the faster plane, you just eat him alive. Yeah.
Well, the other thing was, and I didn't dare to do it, when Banjock gets that airplane, he fuels it, starts it, and then hand launches it from his knee. And I let it go, roll on the ground. Well, hell, he can pitch that airplane up to speed just like that. And I mean, he gets you by a half.
You got to learn the tricks of Gotta learn the tricks of the trade, Steve.
Yeah, so when you gotta fuel 3 times, I mean, he got us by over a lap just on the pit and how fast he was. But he never
Fast
had
in
to
the
move.
pit.
Pelco would put that plane right in front of him every time.
That's the whole secret. You want to put it right in his hand every time. Bang, bang.
That thing, fuel it, fire it, bam, launch it. And he was gone again to where I had to, I can't remember his name. He was pretty good. I didn't have to move too far, but I did have to move some. And I wasn't going to throw his airplane like that in the air. But
You'll learn.
at least I got a sack.
You'll learn the next time you'll throw it. Don't worry about it.
I remember Palco when he was very young. I mean, I think it was like maybe if 15 or something like that. And he was flying his the first electric stunt pattern at the Nats. It was beautiful little red plane with like a some kind of a battery pack, but it wasn't LiPo for sure. It was back in the times when we used like round batteries for them.
Yeah, he really, you know, is the one who started the electric deal. You know, at one time they had a lot where they ran the power down the wires, your control wires.
You know how old that idea is?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Would you believe me? Would you believe me if I tell you that my first control line plane was a plane like that with an electric motor and a balsa piece of wood? And I built it in 1986 or 87.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. I had we had a potentiometer with a on-off switch in it on the handle, and the battery will hold a big cylinder of PVC with batteries inside of it, and we put 2 nails in it, one on the bottom, one on the top, with some springs in between them to hold the batteries. And then the wires went through the handle, and from the handle through the lines to the bell crank, and from the bell crank directly into the motor. And we had like a 3-meter wingspan, 3-meter worth of lines. The plane was about this big, a foot, a little bit over a foot, and all it was a piece of stick um, for a fuselage, and the wing was a piece of balsa wood. Kind of wasn't a square wing, but it was just like a taper for the trailing edge forward. And the elevator was just a piece of balsa wood with scotch tape on it for a hinge. And what we did with the motor was a brushed uh, model car toy motor, and we just tape it on the stick. And for landing gear, we use a piece of aluminum that we glued we glued to the piece of stick, and we had corkscrews. You take the corkscrew and you cut a couple of slices out of it, and
Tryon froze up. I think we lost him. He went black.
See ya. Where'd you go? Yeah, he froze.
Yeah.
You know, they flew around the pole in England many, many moons ago. Back in the 50s, it was very popular, and they just put like rock car motors on the models. So regularly published designs for little round the pole models in Aeromodeling magazine. There'd just be a full page pull out, and you'd make up your model from that.
No kidding.
I think a lot of people got introduced to aeromodeling in that sense because it worked well in a wintry environment where you couldn't get outside and fly, so they'd fly in halls, and you'd have a meeting where it was just round the pole model, and they'd have a setup. We had one like that at the Mount Roskill Club Rooms. They had the pole in the centre, and then it had like pole races on the centre, and the feed went out to your model, and so the setup was there. You'd go along and fly your model on that setup. And so it was a good thing they could set up in club rooms or scout halls or some of the places to introduce young kids to flying because they weren't really flying the model at the speed controlled the way the model flew. You can put a bell crank in it and use the same system, but the pure around the pole models, the attitude or flight was controlled by the speed of the how much current is going to the motor.
Wonder if anybody ever tried to do a rubber band control line.
Oh yeah,
I've tried it. Didn't work worth a damn. I
No.
tried it a couple of times.
Sure,
Not enough. Not enough power. Not enough airplane.
Yeah, probably couldn't get much line tension on it.
No, it was a 0. It was just a write-off. I tried it a couple of times. Couldn't get it to work.
He's back.
What'd you do?
It just locked.
I don't see him.
You went black and white. You were talking about back in the old days. Then all of a sudden, you're black and white. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going back in time. Talking about it.
Monochrome. He was
What, are you
monochrome.
there?
And then you just quit talking.
So I have no clue where it did stop or not. Anyways, but yes, we did fly those motors. We used to make our own balsa propellers, and we drill a little screw through the center. We solder that directly to the shaft of the motor, and then we put the propeller on with a nut on the other side. That was the, I mean, just maybe I should just make like a tutorial for that stuff.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I was told that the people took the battery pack and wore like a bandolero, and then hooked one wire on there, and then the other wire, when you were getting ready to go, you clip it on, and the motor would start. And oh yeah,
yeah, look at it.
It's around the pole model, but yeah, there's no elevator on that one. It's just the elevation is controlled by how much current you put through your lines. But, yeah, I did one with the bell crank and the battery pack on my back, so I could have control of the bell crank. But yeah, that one's I checked after a P51. But yeah, it was a popular thing in the past.
cool.
I was just clicking around and learned something about this stream. I can set it to private until I know that we've got a good YouTube connection, restart it however many times I want to, and do all that without putting a pile of embarrassing crap out there on the internet. So next time I start up, I'm going to start it up as private, and then I won't have to worry about having such a glitchy feed.
Start up. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, well, gradually print it down and get it. We can get it. Yep.
So this was basically the plane. We used like a balsa. Actually, this was like corrugated cardboard for a wing, and we put like a spruce stick here and a little balsa horizontal. Obviously, connect this to the control line, and from the side, let's see if I can do that. So from the side was the stick. You have the wing, the horizontal, and what we did here, we put the motor like this, and we put Scotch tape around it to fasten it in place, right?
Okay, cool.
And in the front, what we did, we take you take a screw, and you just drill a hole through it, right? So that was sitting here, and we solder it on the head of the motor. We put our propeller with a nut on the other side, and like that. We take some thin piece of aluminum, and we took the corkscrews we took the corkscrew, the corks out of
cork from a wine bottle.
Exactly, yeah, and slice it open, and we made the wheels.
Made wheels out of it. Cool.
Yep.
What'd you use
That's
for
it.
bushings on the wheels?
We just use an axle. Like if you have the wheels like that, we have we had a piece of wire, and we put the corks, the cork wheels through them, and just like a little something on the outside. Simple as that.
Hey, Len, what do we call that airplane that rode at?
Junkyard Wars airplane.
Yeah, Junkyard War. Yep, exactly.
You know, and this is the first plane I ever learned how to fly on. I was something like this. So what we did is we took the so let's see, yeah, we took the
Question
wires
is, could
through
you fly
here.
a full pattern with one?
No, you can't. You know, just basically level flight was.
Want to bet?
So we took this wire and we just make a little knot over here, just put it into the motor, and this wire gonna be like that and go into the motor on the other side to connect it to the motor. And in our hand we have like a tube, and we put a nail through the bottom and just drop the batteries in there like that. And I think we had like a little spring here on the bottom to push them up, and we have another nail on the top, and we just have line, another line, go to the handle, and we have a potentiometer with a switch on one side, on here, and obviously this go to the plane.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
So this is my first control line plane I ever built, and this was in 1987, electric.
Wow.
If anybody thinks electric is new.
Yeah, well, I did the same earlier. I did the same thing, but with it was a rear wind speedster, and it was a built-up model, and it had the little bell crank, and I used the insulated enamel copper line and a 12-volt motorcycle battery. But I think I've still got the images of that plane up in my parents' attic. So yeah, I did that, but that would have been the late 70s when I did that. It's great because you could fly it at the dead end roads, or go down to the local park. There are plenty of places you could fly because you're only on 20-foot lines, something very short. So it was a lot of fun.
Yes, we got some old free flight electric powered plane like that. You stuck a battery in it, a AA, or it was a AAA, I think, or 2 AAAs, and then hit the switch and up and go, and it actually flew pretty damn good.
Oh yeah.
The electric's been around a long time. The Astro motors were back out in the 70s. You could still buy the Astro motors, and then they had that Mabushi A1. If anybody remembers that, it was like a little setup for free flight. It had a little Mabushi A1 motor in it, and then it had 2 little button cells, rechargeable button cells that went behind the engine. I've got one there somewhere buried away, and that was one of the very first setups that came with it. You could buy the charger to charge the thing up, and it came with its little button cells, and it was great for those little free flight or ultra small RC model you could do with it. But that sort of same setup you could use for a control line model, but sending the power down the lines gave you that range, gave you the duration. You just have to take into account the voltage drop. So we use 12 volt. I don't know how many volts you used, Tarian. Did you use similar voltage or higher or lower?
I use 6 cells, the 6 C-size batteries, the big ones, round ones.
9 volts,
so
yeah.
6 of those. What is that?
9
is 12 volts, right?
No, 9 volts.
9 volts, yeah. Yeah, and it was also the Mabuki motor, a brushed Mabuki motor.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took the beating. But yeah, it was only meant to learn like level flight and learn how to put your plane on fly your plane and put it on plane, right? It's not to do aerobatics or something like that. Just fly around, kind of like.
Jackson Havley says he's got some rubber powered planes that he put 6 or 7 foot threads on and used them for. You could either use them for control line. Evidently had a bell crank or do a round the pole. Anybody ever done an RTP round the pole plane?
Yeah.
Never have.
Yeah,
We had a
Carol
couple
was talking about a minute ago.
Yeah.
we had a guy on Cox Engine for him that he was pretty blind, so he couldn't fly very well, and he made an RTP plane to fly in his little garden. He was in London, where they all have tiny yards with little gardens, and he put his little RTP pole back there and flew it so we could watch him fly.
Yeah, it opens up possibilities for those small areas, and kids love it because not much can go wrong. I just remember that was a big attraction for the young people.
Right. Model airplanes, things can always go wrong.
Yeah, this guy, he had to spend a fair amount of time trimming the plane before it would stay in level flight around the pole. It would either go up or go down gradually, but he finally got it to fly level flight for a pretty long time.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Hey, Len, how close to London are you, Canada?
London, Ontario, about an hour.
About an hour? Oh, okay.
1 hour.
Yeah, I used to fly there in London when I flew RC,
Right.
and a friend of mine and his friend was from England.
Okay.
And I don't know, he was in the war or whatever, but his wife was a nurse. I don't know, some way they come back to Canada. And
Okay.
so I get there, and he has all these hedges across his backyard. They look nice, some flowers and stuff. And he goes, my buddy Len says, you should go out there and look at his garden, you know. And I'm like, it's a bunch of hedges. He goes, walk back there. As you walk up, how he's got the hedges planted, it's not a full wall. There's passageways into different parts of his yard. And oh my God, the gardens and sitting areas and roses and little apple trees, and it was just, I'm like, oh my God. Then after you made it through there, then he had a control line flying field, because he flew.
Isn't that wild?
Pattern, but when he was in England as a boy and stuff, they flew control line.
Isn't that, what was his name?
Bill Worrell.
Wow, I've never heard of him.
It was William something Worrell, because
Worrell.
Worrell, yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard. I don't know of him.
Instead of Will, he went as, a lot of people called him Willie, but on his mailbox it said W-E and then Willie and then Worrell. And Len said, who the hell's this Wee Willie Worrell? So he always called him Wee Willie all the time.
Wow.
But yeah, he had the coolest garden back there behind.
That's amazing.
Yeah, an English
That's
garden.
neat. Cool.
Dudes, I'm out of gas.
Yep.
I
gotta go to
Yeah.
work and I have school tomorrow.
Getting here so late.
Yeah.
I'm out of here too.
Yeah, maybe Sparky will be building tomorrow night. He's probably
Maybe.
I brought him that piano, electric piano.
Yeah.
So he's probably writing the theme song for Stunt Hangar.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no copyright problem.
So
Can't wait to hear that.
So next time you guys see him online, ask him to play and sing the new Stunt Hangar song.
Okay.
All right, we will do that.
Meanwhile,
all right, Steve.
He'll probably slap
I'm
the
going to
next time he sees me. But
continue my quest for a seamless startup of the show. Maybe it'll happen this coming Friday night. So
I went for,
anyway,
hey, don't feel bad, because I went for a seamless life. Didn't happen.
didn't work.
Didn't work
Yeah,
out.
two of
Not a
them
bit.
never
Me
worked.
neither.
Okay,
Good night,
people.
guys.
We'll
Take it
see
easy,
you
guys.
later.
See you Friday to get back on.
See ya. Bye,
Take
guys.
it
All
easy.
right.
Good
Signing
night, all.
off. Good night.
Good night.
Signing off in 3, 2, 1. Boom.